Welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where I'm going to be covering today here at the Electrify Expo in out on Long Island at the old Nassau Coliseum. We've got Voltari making an entrance here. Welcome to New York. They're up from Fort Lauderdale, and I'm going to be bringing on the CEO of the company who's going to take us on. He's brought two models here for us to check out, and I'm super into these electric boats, as a lot of you know. I think this is it's a really fast-growing sort of segment of the electrification, and it makes a lot of sense for a lot of people's use cases. So let's get into this Voltari electric boat video here on Out of Spec Dave. All right, so Tim, welcome to the channel. Tim is the CEO of Voltari from Florida. I don't know what the heck you're doing up here, but welcome to Electrify Expo here in New York City, Tim.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate it. I mean, the Northeast is amongst one of the best boating places on the planet, especially this time of year. So we do enjoy Fort Lauderdale in the wintertime, though.
Yeah, 100%. Tell me about your company, a little bit about you, perhaps, and what got you to the helm of this company. First of all, can I just tell you, I love the name. I don't even care if the boat even goes. Voltari, that just sounds so cool.
Well, thanks, David. I appreciate it. The name Voltari actually has the word volt in it, which is interesting. But of course, volta is a change of dramatic thought and emotion in a poem. And we believe this is a new verse in boating. So we just thought Voltari would be very fitting.
That's great. When did you, what's your background that you got into being the CEO of Voltari?
Yeah, so I'm one of the founding partners along with my partner, Cam Heaps. And we come from three companies coming together. So Voltari is fully vertically integrated. We design the batteries, powertrains, build the boats, and we do them in all carbon fiber, which allows for the weight reduction on the vessel as well. So we've been at it since 2008, manufacturing marine specific high kilowatt continuous output batteries because of hydrodynamic resistance on the water. They're also fully submersible, saltwater rated, and we're just having a ton of fun doing it. We did come up with the Voltari name in 2021, merged the three companies together, and built these beautiful products you see in front of us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. How many different models are you selling now?
Right now we have four. So these two recreational models, the yacht tender in front of us, the white one, the 260Es, the blue one behind us, which is the performance vessel. And then we have two institutional vessels that are geared towards police, homeland security, Coast Guard, any institutional type of security or patrol.
That's great. What's the size of the battery pack that you're putting in this tender that's right behind you here?
That's the nice part about being the battery manufacturers. We get to play with shapes and sizes. So on these particular vessels behind us, we've got 6 packs in 3 different size formats, and it makes about 142 kilowatts of nominal power. If somebody orders one today, however, they will be getting 198 kilowatts for the 2026 model year.
I got you. Are you doing LFP, or are you sticking with regular NMC?
We're doing
chemistry?
NMC, yeah. It's
NMC.
a high density
Okay.
cell, yep.
That's interesting. And, you know, we were talking, Tim, you and I were talking a little bit earlier that the use case for boats, it just makes so much sense, right? Most of the time, especially for recreational boaters, where are they? They're on the dock. What's on the dock? We got what oftentimes 30 amp, maybe 50 amp, you know, shore power right there. So tell me about your the manufacturing facility that you have down in Fort Lauderdale. Do you have one building or one space where you're manufacturing both the powertrains as well as the batteries?
Multiple facilities on both sides of the border. So the batteries right now are all built in Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Oh, wow.
As well as our engineering and software engineering teams. We've got a shipyard in Merrickville, Ontario, and in the process of bringing manufacturing online for our institutional customers in Florida at the moment. Corporate headquarters is Fort Lauderdale. So from a sales, marketing, distribution, and service perspective, that's all handled out of Florida.
All right. Do any of your rigs have more than one motor?
At this time, with this particular model, it's a one motor, 740 horsepower, 1,007 foot-pounds of torque. It's plenty fast. And as we get into some bigger models that we're currently designing, we'll have twin motor setups.
Tell me about this boat right behind you. Let's go into the details. This outdrive, this is obviously it's an inboard, which is interesting. I was just recently talking to the good folks over at LTS Marine, who I see you have a display right over there as well. But this is a different kind of a setup than that you've got here.
Yeah, we come from traditional powerboat world. And if you think about the evolution of boating, you know, you effectively had to be a contortionist to be a marine mechanic, where you had a car engine sunk into the bilge of a boat and you're doing oil changes upside down and so on. You know, the evolution of the outboard was critical for gas and diesel for maintenance purposes. With electric motors, there's actually no maintenance interval on the motor for the life of the motor. So, you know, 740 horsepower, the two of us can walk down the dock with this motor. You never have to touch it for the life of the boat. So we wanted to reclaim our swim platforms, which is the whole reason why we go boating at the sandbars, being able to put, you know, food and snacks and kids and dogs and family members, being able to interact with the water without having great big outboards on it.
Yep.
So the fact that there's no service on the motor allows us to go back to the way we used to use our boats.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned that these are made out of carbon fiber, and immediately dollar signs went up. Now, the price point on these, it can't be cheap, and it shouldn't be at this point in the evolution of boating. What kind of price range are we talking for this tender right over here?
Yeah, and that's why we went after this specific segment. So they're based off an offshore performance deep V, 24-degree dead rise. You know, you've got Alcantara, C-deck, a ton of power and a ton of features on the boats. This is our yacht tender. It's at 435 USD, 450 for our 260E, and they're all carbon fiber. They're a ton of fun, and your acceleration is all available at 1 RPM with that torque.
Right, right. That is really nice. Now, what's interesting is you've got this. Is this an inflatable on the side, or is it just looking like an inflatable?
Yeah, as a yacht tender, of course, you don't want to scratch your mega yacht. So we have 3-point lifting harnesses on the boat. It has no T-top on it, so it can be stowed in a mothership. It could also be towed through the bow plate if you prefer to do that. And that is a semi-rigid inflatable rib. So it is foam filled, but it also has a pneumatic collar on it.
I see. From a weight standpoint, how would a boat similarly sized, conventional gas, how much would this weigh versus, let's say, this boat here?
Many years ago, we first built this hull with fiberglass and twin 300 Yamahas, and we were weighing about 7,200 pounds. By going carbon fiber and adding the 142 kilowatts of batteries that we manufacture ourselves, the boat weighs 7,000 pounds. So we kept it at its original fighting weight. And going carbon fiber allows us to do that. Now, because we own Carbon Marine and have been doing carbon fiber since 2008, in fact, we built the world's first pre-preg, fully exposed carbon fiber boat back in 2008. We've combined our companies together to be able to provide this product.
That's phenomenal. That's really good. When someone buys this boat from you, do they have a choice as far as electronics and all of that? From I see you've got Garmin up there. I'm a Garmin guy myself, but can someone spec it however they want?
Yeah, it comes with twin 19-inch screens. Voltari pushes our own software through those screens. You can pick Garmin or Ray Marine, customer's choice, and same with your color and C-deck choices. We also do hand-stitch Alcantara in-house. It's a marine-grade Alcantara, which allows you to have a dark, in this case on both boats, a black interior for the first time in marine, because both are heat dissipating. And just to put it in perspective, the blue boat is 4 years old now. It's our prototype. We don't even own a cover for that boat. It lives in Fort Lauderdale in the salt water, just to show you the durability of the materials, gel-coated hulls. Voltari stands for quality first. And, you know, we come from boating environments in saltwater, deep water, rough water environments, so the boat's designed to take a good amount of sun and salt.
Yeah, no, I mean that is definitely good. Is there any kind of a T-top option on this particular tender?
So both the models, the TT and the 260E, are actually the same hull.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanted a T-top, you could get the 260E, and if you want to put a rib on that, obviously a little more popular in Europe, but amongst the mega yacht crowd, the ribs are starting to make the way in North America. It's quite handy. You don't have to put fenders out when you get to the dock.
Right, so. Right. Any kind of porta potty space?
Yep. Yeah, you can have a porta potty in the cabin. It's an option for you.
All right, we'll take one. My wife approves. So that's cool. Well, good. Take me on a little tour of this the blue one over here. This is absolutely stunning. You know, that's a, first of all, you're not shy with the name. I love it. Along the side there. I saw it from way over there when I was filming over at Volvo. I was like, oh, I gotta go meet whoever this is. But yeah, this is really a beautiful. I love how you have the sort of the reverse, you know, from the rear to the forward. It's a beautifully flowing look on this boat here. This is incredible. And this one is also carbon fiber, huh?
It sure is. Yeah, David. No, and I very much appreciate that. You know, we've taken the foundation of a 24-degree dead rise deep V offshore performance boat, and we've modernized it as a center console. And because we fabricate everything in-house, we built this T-top inspired off a Manta Ray design. So David Weiss, who's our designer, you know, just did an absolutely wonderful job with it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
The T-top itself is so light that if it wasn't attached by the struts, either one of us could lift the top up and move it around.
That's incredible. Wow. Well, listen, what questions haven't I asked that I should have asked here? I'm sort of new to this whole world.
Yeah, absolutely, David.
I'm a boater. I think you and I were talking a little bit earlier. I've had a Whaler 320 Outrage with twins and a Sundancer, a couple of different Sundancers over the years. But I really think, what's your opinion about the state of the electric boat industry right now? What inning are we in, or are we still playing Little League here, you know, in terms of not what you're doing, but I'm just saying the evolution of electric boats? Where do you think we're going to be 10 years from now?
Well, you know, I absolutely love it. And much like yourself, David, I come from performance gas and diesel motors. It's all we've ever had and known. And the frustration of service and fuel and the price of fuel and service in marine, you know, is much more exponential than it is in automotive. If I wanted to get an oil change in my car this afternoon, very easy to do, a little harder with a boat, and finding fuel these days on the water. So in many ways, electric in marine is actually even a better use case than it was in automotive. One, because the charging infrastructure already exists. 240 is at every marine pedestal in the world. As we plug in our boats to run our air conditioners when we get to the dock, you effectively use that level 2 to plug in and charge your boat overnight. You know, we get a full day's use out of that, how you'd normally operate a 26-foot center console, anywhere from 30 miles at high speeds to 100 miles at trolling and intercoastal speeds. So plenty of time to go out to the sandbar, visit friends and family, go to the restaurant. So in many ways, especially when it comes to maintenance and service, electric boating is just a superior product that costs a lot less money to run. So you can focus on having uptime and fun on the water as opposed to turning wrenches all the time.
Yeah, now that makes a lot of sense. Now I know that level 2 is what's at most of the docks. We're starting to see some DC fast chargers appear at certain marinas as well right now.
Yeah.
Do either of your models or any of your models DC fast charge?
Yeah, of course they do. We also have institutional models for police and defense. And when our customers are running 24/7 shifts with our vessels,
you need that.
You know, they will grab a DC fast charger and they'll charge between shift changes. Many times, if they have 15, 20 minutes, a half hour between a shift change, they could top back up to 100 very easily with the Voltari 250 kilowatt charger.
Right.
Recreationally, and once again, I've personally been running this blue boat for about 4 years now. We very rarely, if ever, need a DC charge because we have plenty of power to get through a day. And of course, we like to sleep at night, so we plug into our shore power pedestal. We get back to the marina first thing in the morning, and we always start at 100%.
Yeah. You know, I've heard the use case also for rental companies as well. You know, lower maintenance cost, and, you know, if they need to turn a couple of different shifts during the day, if they're really running out there. But that's great. Well, listen, you know, Tim, thank you so much for coming on and showing me these boats here. I think they're absolutely spectacular, beautiful. And again, I love the name. I would say best of luck to you, but it sounds like you guys know what you're doing and you're riding the wave, no pun intended. So thanks for coming on the camera.
Thanks, David. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.